Hi, this is Connie Erickson with another Live at 5. And today I want to talk about my bike. I got a new bike for Christmas, which is why I've been thinking about it. And I haven't been able to ride it because it's been so cold here where I am. It's about 8 degrees, and the real feel is like negative 15 or something. So I got this new bike for Christmas, and I've been thinking about it. And I'm sure I'll be talking about it in other lives too, because to me, the bike is kind of emblematic of lots of things in my life. My guy is not one for talking about emotions, which I know might be surprising because I'm a therapist. He says work is love made visible. And so I guess in this case, the present is love made visible. So I could easily talk about the bike in love languages, but today I want to talk about my crash. And it was last spring, and we set out to do a 25-mile loop around Harrisburg when we were visiting family. Now, I never rode a bike as a kid, so when people use the phrase, it's like riding a bicycle, that at best is meaningless for me. My dad thought they were too dangerous, and looking back, maybe that was a cover up for not being able to afford bikes. Who knows? But we didn't have bikes, and we weren't allowed to ride them. And of course, I snuck a try here and there, but never enough to really master bicycle riding. So, um, my boyfriend, he really enjoys doing long bike rides. He even does a charity bike ride, 160-mile bike ride on a weekend every year. So when we first started dating, about 7 years ago, he wanted to go bike riding. I said, sure, but I need to tell you, I don't ride very well. And I don't think he really understood what that meant until he saw me attempting to ride in a straight line. And then again, when he saw me try to turn my bike around. But he was patient, and we both had senses of humor about it, and it ended up being a nice ride. So fast forward about 5 years, and we were riding more frequently together, and we decided to do a loop around Harrisburg. And I said, sure, that will be good as long as we're not riding on the road too much. So it was springtime, and it was sunny, and there were street fairs, and we rode around the Susquehanna River, or along it rather, and it was just such a nice ride. The crash happened about 2/3 of the way through, and I was getting fairly confident. I had, most of the ride under my belt until I had to ride downhill on a curved stretch of the sidewalk about 4 feet wide. And it was framed, one side was a tall cement wall, and the other side was steady traffic. So not wanting to go out into the traffic, I hugged the wall, and about 3 feet from the end of the stretch, I flipped my bike, clunked my helmet, and covered my face and arm with road burn. And when I finally got up to my partner, limping and walking my bike, he had no idea what happened. Where were you? What took you so long? Until he saw my, whole side bloody. Then he was, what happened? Are you all right? Well, what happened was I was so afraid of going into the traffic that was all I thought about. I stopped focusing on where I was going and just focused on what I was avoiding. That got me bloody, bruised, and in pain. And after resting for a bit, I was able to finish the ride and get back to where we were staying and get showered up and refreshed. And I still have scars, but I learned a big lesson that day. And that lesson was stop focusing on what you want to avoid. Duh. Of course, this is true with a lot of our goals and in life, but it's true in relationships as well. Mike and I are pretty good about that. We didn't meet until we were both in our 40s. So you don't get to be 40 and single without your share of baggage. And it would have been really easy to focus on how we were hurt in the past or how we screwed up, but that really wouldn't get us where we wanted to go. I see this all the time in my practice. Couples get really focused on what happened in the past. They're so afraid of getting hurt, and they're carrying around all this resentment that they don't want to put themselves out there again. Maybe their partners have let them down. And, if you stay together long enough, your partner's bound to let you down in some way. And maybe they've tried to talk about difficult issues and it didn't go well. And I'm not saying you should never look behind you. I think you can and should look at the past examples so that you can learn and do things differently. But Don't let that stop you from moving forward. Focus on what you do want. That's the only way to get there. So that's it. Drop a comment and let me know how this might be true for you. Remember to just keep focusing on what you do want and not what you don't want. And my relationship transformations course will start again in the spring. This is for people who are ready to make changes and want to communicate more authentically. Drop a comment or PM me if you want to find out more or get on the waiting list. Thanks.